Hello, happy Thursday. I was thinking I was going to be late. I had to take the dog out, but I made it. So before we get started, I just want to remind everybody, and I have my iPad out, the seasonal sale ends tonight. Now you'll get, let's see what's on sale. I'm going to go down to 10% off ribbon and trim, 15% off inks, 20% off paper. Now, when it comes, it's everything in the annual catalog. So the ribbon and trim, when they say paper, they mean cards and envelopes, including memories and more, cardstock, packaging, pattern paper, specialty paper, grid paper, masking paper, and watercolor paper. And then for ink, they mean ink pads, which includes the Classic, the Versamark, the StazOn, and Memento, ink refills, ink spots, uninked pads, alcohol markers, and stamping right markers. Hi, Ruth. So don't forget about that sale. It only happens every once in a while, and it is a good one. Let me just grab a piece of tape so I can take down this mat. So has anybody been crafty today? I was actually working on my Patreon group, and we were working on the black magic technique. So we did this one, and then we did it in monochromatic. So something different instead of doing the same old thing. Hey, Kathy. Hi, Margaret. So tonight we're going to be working with the Sparkling Snowflakes. I know there's some areas that have had snow. Do you like snow? I'm not too keen on it. I like when it snows for the first time because it's so beautiful, but I just don't like shoveling it. So this is actually a bundle, and the bundle comes with this punch. And if you can see, it punches out the snowflake. Thanks, Kathy. Hey, Sheila. Hey, Do. Tag. And that's what I did on this one here. All right, so we made a quick little tag. We have a really pretty snowflake card with snowflakes on the inside. And then this one, we just popped one snowflake up and made that the focal point, and then added them into the center of the card also. I am going to get a snowblower. Yes, I am this year, because there's just too much that I would have to shovel. I have to actually order it. I'm going to order it online, and then this way it'll come directly to the house. I don't have to go and look for one. And just give me a moment here. I'm looking for my embellishments. Here they are. All right. So let's get started. I know I didn't score anything, so I'm going to have to score. And I also did not do the embossing, because this one I stamped and then embossed. So let's do this card first. Just wanted to see how it opens, so I grabbed the right supplies. I will have a PDF for these cards in the morning. And if you want these make and takes, just place a $35 order by next Thursday using that host code, and I will send you these make and takes. All right, so we're going to start with 8.5 by 5.5, and of course everyone knows we're going to score it at 4.25. And while I have it out, let me score the other one so I don't have to pull it out again, and we'll talk about that when we do that card. All right. There we go. So now we don't have to worry about it. All right. So we're using Coastal Cabana. I figured we'd use something a little different for our snowflakes. Oh, do you have this set too? Well, you're going to have to make these cards. All right, we're going to put the inside away. And we are going to layer it up. And we're actually going to pop this up onto the front of the card. And we have a layer of Coastal Cabana, which measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then a basic white that's 5 1/4 by 4. Now I know that Stampin' Up! Does have a snowflake embossing folder that is new. This is an old one. I've had this one for years. You can see it doesn't even have the line at the bottom, and the logo is in the corner. But I decided I was going to use it. I was cleaning out my room and happened to find it. So give me a second so I can run this through. Hopefully I'll get the right sandwich the first time. Yep. And I wanted to get that done. And here it is here. It's a really pretty snowflake embossing folder. And I want to work on this before we put it on the front of the card because we are going to layer it with a piece of Coastal Cabana. And this measures 4 by 2. And then we have this pretty foil snowflake paper, which measures 4 by 1 7/8. And I want to adhere these two together. And I want to do this first because, you know, most of the time I forget. And I'm going to just push this down so the one edge is even. All right, and it's on there straight. So when I glue this onto my embossed layer, if I have a little bit that goes over the edge, I can trim it off, okay? And I can tell already I'm going to need to trim it. So I'm just going to add some glue. We're going to adhere this right to about the center of the card. And again, I'm pushing it down on the table so I at least get one side that is completely flush. And I can see I'm going to need to trim it. Make sure it's on there straight. Okay. And then we're just going to take our cutter. You can use your normal cutter. And I'm just going to line it up and push it right against the edge of the blade. And then just give it a little trim. And you can see it is pretty thick there. So let me just do it on my big cutter because I don't want that to be jagged. I think my blade is starting to get a little bit there we go, worn out. I think that side's good. All right. So that is now adhered to our emboss layer. So now I can take my Coastal Cabana layer and we can have a little spot there. Wonder where that came from. We can adhere this to this layer. And I'm going to use some glue so I don't ruin the embossing. We're just going to lay this down. So if you saw my post, they did finally get my furniture. Thank goodness. That day that they picked it up, I was on the phone for 3 hours off and on I would get to caller number 1. They would either pick up and I'd get disconnected, or I just got disconnected and I kept calling back. And finally, I spoke to someone new, and she got somebody here and they picked it up. All right, so here's our layer. We are going to lay this down on the front of our card. Make sure it's on here straight. All right, so pretty simple, right? Next, we have another layer of Coastal Cabana, and this is 2 7/8 by 4 1/8, and a piece of basic white, which is 4, and should be 2 3/4, and it is. And what we're going to do with this, I'm going to grab a piece of, let me see if I have a piece here. Let me grab one. A piece of scrap paper so I don't get my table messed. Okay, and I'm going to grab the smallest of, hey Tony, smallest of the snowflakes and some Coastal Cabana. And I am going to just ink it up, and we're going to stick one snowflake here and one snowflake here, and I'm just looking, what did I do? Give me a moment. You're gonna, oh, here it is. You're gonna hate me. You're gonna have to fussy cut. All right, so all I did was stamp 2 of the snowflakes in Coastal Cabana. Now I'm gonna run it through with the same embossing folder. No, that's a lie. I'm going to run it through with the quatrefoil embossing folder. And if you'll remember, this line here, this is the front of the embossing folder. So I am going to put my piece of paper in so the front is on the front of the embossing folder. Use that line so it's even. And I'm just going to run this through. All right, so it's now embossed with the quatrefoil, just a little different. Now, like I said, I forgot to do these, but I did already emboss my snowflakes in silver, and I forgot to fussy cut them. So I'm just going to quick fussy cut these. So has anybody been starting any holiday shopping? I have not. I usually do everything last minute. Like I said, today I worked on my Patreon class, and I've been trying to get the house together because I want to, believe it or not, I want to start painting and redoing my bathroom. I don't have enough to do, but we've been here for about 6 years, a little longer, I think, and I have not yet, I never painted. I painted when we first moved in and didn't paint, so I want to redo my bathroom. So I've been preparing for that. All right, so there's one fussy cut. And I'm sorry, I know everybody hates fussy cutting. It's like watching paint dry, isn't it? although I enjoy doing it, I've been doing it for years when I was on design teams for digital companies. The artist would, create the image digitally, and I would print them and color them and create with them. And a lot of times I had to fussy cut. And I do have a scan and cut machine, and I don't use it. It's collecting dust in my room. I should take it out and use it. It would make life so much simpler. All right, so there are our 2 snowflakes. And all I'm going to do is one of them I'm going to actually glue onto this layer. Okay, so we're going to add some glue, and we'll put it right here. I'm just going to hold it down for a second. It is. You have to finish your Christmas cards, huh? Well, that's good. I did do my Christmas cards, believe it or not. So I did get that done. So I don't have to worry about that. And then the other one we are going to pop up. And I'm just going to stick one right in the center. And I'm going to add it down here to the bottom so it hangs off a little bit. All right? Quick and easy. So now let's grab that Coastal Cabana. Let's add some more glue. I'm going to have to open another one. And then we're just going to layer this right on the Coastal Cabana. Okay? And now we're going to pop this up. So let's grab some more of these edges. Get rid of another piece of dimensionals. So we're just going to add these little pieces. Just trying to look. I hope I have my ribbon with me here. And we're going to pull off these papers and then put this right on the front of the card. And I'm going to stand up. All right, so we're just going to center this on the front of the card, just like that. Now we have Make the Season Sparkle, and I am going to hope that I put it back. And I did. So I like to lay my sentiment down and then pick it up. So then I know it's on here and it hasn't stretched. So I'm going to grab some Versamark. Let me just grab my little silicone mat. And I have a piece of cards, basic white cardstock. It is too long, and it's 1 inch wide. And I want to make sure I have enough room to put my bow on this side. All right. So we're just going to ink this up. And we are going to put this, hoping that it's on here straight. And it looks good. And let's grab some embossing powder. I didn't use my embossing buddy. All right, so we got that embossed in silver. Just gonna grab my heat gun. My Versamark is filthy. Thanks, Karen. So I'm just gonna heat this up. All right. and then we're going to cut it into a banner. If you have a banner punch, you can always use a banner punch. And I do have a larger one. Let's see if we can't get this in here. I don't know how much I have to take off, so I'm just going to center it. All right, so we got our banner. We can pull our card back in, and I'm actually going to add some dimensionals to our banner. And we're going to stick it right here on the front of the card, making sure it's straight. And then we'll tie a bow. So let's get some ribbon. And this is the silver and white sheer ribbon. This is in the mini catalog, and it is coming to an end at the end of December. So if there's anything in that mini catalog that you want, you're going to have to get it before the catalog disappears, because there is not much that's carrying over in that catalog. All right, so we got our bow. We're just going to fix our tails. And I'm going to trim this off. Grab a glue dot. And it's a little warm in here tonight, so hopefully my glue dots will adhere really well. All right, so then I'm going to grab some iridescent rhinestones, and we're just going to pop a couple up onto the front of our card. Let's put another one here by the bow. And there is the front of our first card. All right. Pretty good, right? Yeah, the ribbon is pretty. Now for the inside, just want to see what I did to this one. Okay. So for the inside, we have some Coastal Cabana. And this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm going to take my scrap out again, and we're going to grab some Coastal Cabana. And what I'm going to do is grab a blending brush, okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the outside edges of this layer, just very lightly, just to give it a little bit of color. All right, so it's very, very light, and you can make it darker or lighter. Just add a little bit of color. And then for the inside, we're going to grab that little stamp and our Coastal Cabana. And we're going to stamp a corner and then come down and stamp it there. And then we'll stamp it in that corner. All right. So that's the little snowflake. Next, we're going to grab, and here it is, the larger snowflake, and this is the one we are going to emboss. And we're going to put one in this corner. I'm going to use this. We're going to fill in this space here, and then we're going to add one here. Okay, so let's get out that Versamark, and we're going to do the same thing. We'll put half here Let me move up a little so you can see what I'm doing. And then we'll put half here. And then we'll put one right in this corner. So I'm just going to lift this up without touching my spots and add some embossing powder. So we're just making the inside resemble the outside. All right, and then pull out the heat gun. And heat it up. All right, just so you know, if you do not let your heat gun heat up before you emboss the powder, you can see that it does get warped a little bit. So in that case, I'm going to take my seal and I'm just going to make sure that I get the edges of this layer as close as I can so it adheres down to that matte piece nicely. If you allow that gun to heat up, you won't have that issue, okay? So we're just going to lay this down on this layer. And then adhere it to the inside of the card. Now I can use some glue. I think it's running low. All right. So there we go. There's card number 1. Just a really pretty, festive, snowy card, right? I hope you like it. All right, let's jump to card number 2. Same Coastal Cabana, but this time it's 11 by 4 1/4. And as you saw, I scored it at 5 1/2. Now this piece, let's get the inside to the side. Oh, look, I cut extra. Sometimes I don't cut it all. Sometimes I cut extra. All right. So we have another layer of Coastal Cabana. And this is going to go on the front of the card. And this should be 5 1/4 by 4. And then we have another layer of basic white. And it is 5 3/4 by 5. Okay. I wanted a nice Coastal Cabana border. And we're going to run this through the cut and emboss machine, because I did not do it, with the Quatrefoil embossing folder. All right, so we're going to just line this up, and let me run it through real quick. That was easy. All right. And all we're going to do is adhere these layers together. So we're just going to add some glue and add it to our Coastal Cabana layer. Get it on here centered. All right. Then we're going to take our card base, and I want to make sure I have it opening the right way. Not that it matters right now, but when we put everything together, so we're just going to layer this onto the front. All right, easy peasy. Hey, Sheila. Thanks, Tony. Oh, just got to take off my sweatshirt. It's getting warm in here. And then I actually, instead of using the deckled, I used a scallop layering circle, and this is 3 inches. Then I did do a deckled circle in silver foil, which is 2 3/4. And then I have a basic white deckled circle, which is 2 1/2. And these layers are just going to be adhered together with some glue. So we can do that first. And I'm going to just adhere these together. Make sure it's on there and it's pretty centered. All right, we're going to let that dry. And then we're going to pull in our basic white deckled circle and our stamp pad, the Coastal Cabana. Now for this one, I am going to grab, and this is not the right one, is it? Yes, it is. I'm going to grab the background. You can see there's no detail, and I'll show you what I mean. This is, oops, this would be the background of the snowflake. All right. So I want to ink this up. I am going to stamp it. So I'm stamping off, and then I'm stamping it on my layer. So it is not as dark as this. I just wanted a little bit of a shadow. Oh, you had to put the baby to bed. Hello, hello. Late is better than never. Welcome, welcome. All right, so I stamped it off. Let's close this up. We're going to pull out our Versamark. Now I'm going to grab my medium size detailed snowflake, and we are going to emboss it in silver on top of this Coastal Cabana. And I am going to hit it with my embossing buddy, okay, so it does not stick to the ink that I already put down. Now, those embossing buddies are available in the annual catalog, but they come with a pair of tweezers and that look like this, so when you're embossing, you don't burn your fingers. A little paintbrush to brush off the embossing powder, and a tray so you have a place for your embossing powder to land. All right, so I'm just getting a good amount of Versamark on my snowflake, and I'm going to center it on that Coastal Cabana. All right, and flip it off. And this piece is a little smaller, so I am going to grab it with these tweezers. All right, and we're going to add some embossing powder. Going to make sure we hit all the little points. And that looks pretty good. And we're going to heat this up. I'm going to just let this run for a second. Thank you. All right, so now it's embossed. So you can see, whoops, the snowflake is embossed right onto that background. And I am going to actually add some seal onto this layer. And then now that I have seal, oops, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to that seal because I won't see it through the layer. And we're going to adhere it right to this circle. All right, so there is our layer. Let's close up our Versamark. Grab another length of that ribbon. We're going to do that first. And we're just going to tie a simple ribbon. I don't know if anybody has not seen. You're going to hold it between your pointer and your thumb and take your tail and wrap it around your fingers. Lift your thumb and hold that down. Now you don't want to move your thumb anymore. Take your tail, go between your pointer and your middle finger, go down and under this piece, back through. So now the tail is in your hand. And this loop that you just created, you're going to go in the left side of that loop and out the right hand side of that loop. Okay, and here's your tail, and pull it tight. You want to get that center knot nice and tight. This way you'll have nice loops that'll be puffy. All right, and then straighten your tails, and we're just going to trim this even, and then you have your bow. It's the easiest way to do your bows. So let's grab a glue dot. And I'm just looking. Oh, here it is. My pokey tool took a walk. So we're just going to grab a glue dot. I want the point to be facing the top. So let's add our glue dot right about there. And that's where I'm going to add my bow. Now you can play with it to make it pretty. Okay? Let's get rid of that. Pull in our card. Now we can pop this up onto the front of our card. I think I need to cut more pieces. Oh, here's one. So we're just going to add some dimensionals around. So the weather's been crazy here. It was pretty nice today. It's been really foggy and cold in the mornings. Oh, thank goodness for heavy coats. All right, we're going to make sure we have it opening the right way. And we are going to adhere this or pop it up onto the front of our card. All right. Easy peasy. Now we are going to add our sentiment. And I think I threw it back in my box here. I have a piece of basic white. And I know I have a piece of silver here. Oh, there it is. So I have a piece of silver foil that is 1 inch by 2 1/8. Then I have a piece of basic white that is 7/8 by 2. And we are going to stamp our winter greeting sentiment. So let's pull out. We're going to lay it down. So like I said, I like to pick my sentiment up so I know it didn't get out of shape. And I'm going to just grab And it's so nice that it's a photopolymer stamp set, so I can see what I'm stamping. And we're going to put it, and I think I did it a little crooked, but that's okay. My hand slipped. And I'm going to just pick this up, grab my embossing powder. And I slipped a little bit, so it's off, but it'll be okay. And I put it too close to the top. All right, so now there's our winter greeting. Again, I don't really like gluing on the basic white because you can see through it. So I'm just going to use some seal and line this up onto this piece, hoping I get it on here straight. All right, pull our card back in, and we're going to pop this up onto the front of the card. So we're almost done here with these dimensionals. Oops. So we'll put one here. We'll grab this one and put it here. And we're just going to center this on the bottom. And then let's grab some of these lovely diamonds and add them to the front of our card. Put one over here, and we'll add one right there. So there is the front of our second card. All right, just quick and easy. In the 60s, wow. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, it's 51 here right now, so that's pretty nice, especially for November. I mean, I could live with this weather all winter, to be honest. All right, now for the inside, we did the same thing with the snowflakes. So let's just get those layers. I'm going to grab my scrap piece again. And I believe, yep, I still stamped off. So we're going to grab that background layer, all right, and our Coastal Cabana. I want to make sure I'm on here so you can see which corners. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to ink up, stamp, and then stamp, all right, and then we're going to ink up, stamp on the scrap, and stamp. So there is the background. Let's pull in the Versamark, and we're going to grab that smaller, I think I still did the small one. Yep, the small snowflake. But I'm going to hit my spots. And we're just going to ink up and stamp. Turn it around. Ink up and stamp. Again, grab our embossing powder. Get that snowflake. Looks good. Turn that gun on one more time. I'm going to let it heat for a second so it doesn't warp as bad. Right. So let's turn it over and add that seal. And I'm going around the whole thing because of the embossing. We're going to layer it up on our Coastal Cabana. Pull in our card. And adhere it to the inside. Whoops. I think I'm at the end. All right. So there is card number 2. Thanks, Margaret. Now for the last project, just something quick and easy. For that person who you want to make a really pretty tag for. We have a strip of, and I'm going to trim this down, Coastal Cabana, 2 inches. Let me just grab the rest of the pieces here. And then I have a piece of silver that is 2 inches. And I have to cut it down to 1 7/8. And then I have that designer series paper that I cut with the tailor-made tags. All right. And then a piece of vellum that I also cut with the tailor-made tags. So we have those 2. We're going to take this 2-inch piece and I'm going to grab my punch and we're going to insert it in our punch as far as it'll go and punch. All right, so there's those pieces. And this is what we get. Now, if you ever get a punch and it's brand new and you punch and you see little oil marks, that is from the punch itself. It's not damaged. They oil the punches. So if you get a new punch, I would punch regular paper for a little bit and then punch your cardstock. All right. So let's just measure this here. So I cut it the right size. And it looks like it's 4 7/8. So let's cut this up. 4 7/8. All right. Then we have 4 3/4 for the silver. And I want to cut it down to 1 7/8. Well, that's not right. Let's see. 4 inches. Silly me. All right. So I wanted this to be a little bigger, okay, than this tag. But what I did was I layered this on and held it so it had the border around it. All right. And I took my scissors and I just fussy cut with an edge so it's a little bit bigger than this tag, but still the same shape. All right, so it has the same shape as this tag, but it just gives it a little bit of a border. And if you wanted, you could round your corners. Okay, so here's these 3 pieces. Then we're going to take our vellum. I'm going to use my pad again, and we're going to use that Winter Greetings again, and I'm going to ink it up with Versamark, and we're going to stamp it. Now when you stamp on vellum, you have to be very careful you don't move it or smush it, because it will slide. So you want to just make sure you go straight down and don't even wiggle, just go straight down. Okay, so there's our sentiment. Then we're going to take the smallest of the snowflakes and we're going to put a snowflake right there. All right, we're going to bring in our embossing powder. Just want to make sure I get this off. There we go. And let's heat it up. Thanks, Stu. All right. And we embossed it onto our vellum. So what we need to do now is we're going to take these 2 tags, and I'm actually going to take my pokey tool, and I am going to poke a hole in the silver. All right, and then I'm going to take the silver tag, and we're going to utilize this hole right here in the punch. All right, so this has a hole, this has a hole, and our tag has a hole. I just happened to find in my stash these little silver brads. So I am going to feed it through each of these layers and our back layer. Okay, just like that. And then open up this brad. So now they're all adhered together. Let's grab that ribbon. I think I put it away. And we're going to tie another bow. So it is a quick and, I mean, it is a quick and easy tag. If you had to make a lot of them, I don't know how quick and easy it would be. But if you had some, special gifts that you needed to give out, it would be really pretty. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of here. Got lots of junk around. All right, so let's grab a glue dot. And I'm going to add my glue dot right over top, or right at the brad, not on it, but over it. And we're going to add our bow right there. So now we can fix our bow a little bit. All right. And then we're going to grab our embellishments, and I am going to grab a medium one and put it in the center of that snowflake. And then I'm going to take another medium one and put it in the center of the snowflake at the top. And then you have a pretty little tag for that special gift. And you could even add a beautiful card to go with it. Let's just move these down so we get them all in. All right, so there is our set. Thank you so much. If you'd like these make and takes, just head over to my store. Tonight would be the perfect night. Not only would you get the make and takes, but you'd hit that sale that is ending midnight Utah time. So it's mountain time. So I will see everybody tomorrow at 10 for Fun Fold Friday. I do have a card, but I'm not sure if I really like it. So I'm going to check it out in the morning. Thanks for joining me tonight, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.